Hello and welcome back to yet another ultralight fishing video, my friends. I am on the paddleboard right now. I actually didn't think I was going to get to fish today because there was thunderstorms in the forecast, but they got pushed back a bunch. So I threw the paddleboard on my car, I drove out to this lake, and we are going to be testing the PHENIX ELIXIR series. This is an ultralight I've been wanting to test for some time now. I've gotten a lot of recommendations for these Phenix rods, so I finally pulled the trigger. I could not be more excited to fish with this right here. And you know the drill. Really, I'm just gonna fish with it, hopefully catch a bunch of fish with it. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to kind of share my thoughts and perspectives on this specific model right here. So without further ado, let's start fishing. So as far as what model I got, because they do offer several models, I went for the 7'6". This is rated for 1/32 to 1/4 ounce lures and 2 to 6 pound test. This is a fast action rod, and it's actually offered in, you have the option to get either split grip or full grip. I went full grip. You guys know I'm a little bit more old school. I like a full cork grip if I can get my hands on it. So I gotta say, right from the get-go, I love the grip. The other thing I'm gonna say is this is a size 1000 reel, and for the first time ever, I finally found a long rod that balances extremely well with a lightweight reel. This is the Shimano Sedona size 1000, and as you can see, it's balancing perfectly. A 7'6" rod that balances perfectly with a light reel is awesome. Now I've got this reel spooled up with Spro finesse braid. It's 6 pound test, and that's going to be a good opportunity to really test the castability of this rod because this line casts extremely well with lightweight lures. I'm using a 1/32 ounce mule jig and a Mule Minnow 2.2, and I just had a short strike, but it casts it just fine. You know, actually before I put this reel on there, I had a different reel on there with some Power Pro, and I wasn't casting as far, and that's really a testament to the line. You got to use high quality braid if you want to cast further, and it's not that Power Pro is not good line, it's just that this Spro works really effectively with lightweight lures. I did pick up some Phenix braid as well because I've heard really good things, but I haven't spooled it up yet. That's definitely something I plan to spool up soon. About 12 to 15 mile an hour wind. There we go. Well, I've made about 3 casts and already caught a fish. This looks like, I think this is a little crappie, maybe a little bass. No, it's a little perch. I was wrong. Well, we're on the board, and he was kind of nipping at it, and I felt that rattling down the line. There you go. It ain't much, but we got a fish. I wasn't actually expecting any perch today. I usually don't catch very many perch once the water gets warmer. I catch them a lot in the spring, but once that water warms up, they just seem to slow down a lot. Oh man, got pounded. It's gotta be probably a bass that doesn't realize he's hooked yet. Here he comes. Oh yeah, this has gotta be a bass. And hopefully you can see that rod right there. Obviously, I'd say it's fast action for sure. Oh wait, it's a pike. Dadgum, it's a pike. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh goodness, wasn't expecting this. The 2 species I probably didn't expect a lot of. Right off the go, I got them. Not much, but it's something. Little snake, see you bud. All right, well that wasn't too bad. Hopefully you got a little bit of a feel for the bend on that rod. There's one. Ooh, that's a decent fish right there. He was right up against that pontoon. Here we go. Oh, look at that rod go. Man, that's fun. That's exactly why I wanted a rod like this. That big, long ultralight. The longer they get, the more fun they are, I feel like. Oh. There you go. 3 species. Well, all within about 5-6 minutes. Decent little bass for an ultralight right there. Put up a nice fight, had some good jumps. Good times, man. There you go. About a pounder. See you, bud. Whoa. All right. There's a fish. That's got to be a bluegill. He's going sideways immediately. Not a big one, but there you go. 4 fish, 4 species. That's what we like to see, my friends. There you go. I've detected pretty much all these bites in the line so far, but that's pretty common. No matter what rod you use, I'd say most of your bites you're going to detect in the line as opposed to the rod. It's just a huge part of ultralight fishing, especially when you're using stuff that sinks really slow, as I've talked about several times. There's another one. There you go. Looks like a little male. There's a bunch of bluegill right here, real high on the water column. So, you know, this is actually a good point right here with that long rod. I'm really close to these fish, but having that long rod allows me to just kind of keep my rod tip high and keep the bait higher in the water column. A shorter rod, you don't have the ability to control your jig as much, and that's one of the reasons I really wanted a longer rod, is just for jig control in certain situations like this. So I started out with this 1/32 ounce jig, mostly just to test the capabilities of this rod. That being said, I primarily see myself fishing just a little bit heavier gear. 1/16 ounce jig's probably a lot. Definitely some micro drop shots, definitely some little spoons in the winter, so on and so forth. I've definitely been wanting a longer ultralight rod, but the few that I've tested in the past I didn't really like. Out of any of the long ultralight rods that I've tested so far, I can tell you this one is definitely one I like the most so far. And I'm gonna get to a little bit more of that here in a minute, but for right now, let me catch this little dinky bass. There you go. It ain't much, but it's another fish, and now he is, stop that, go away. Okay, there we go. All in all, as far as the aesthetics go, like I said, it's got that full grip, which I really like. The reel seat is really fancy, really nice. It's got that like kind of wood right here, the cork on top, the cork below. It's got a little bit of foam right here, halfway between the cork. Very, very comfortable to fish with. Like I said, the biggest thing though is the balance, and the balance is incredible. I was not expecting that. I was nervous that it wasn't gonna balance well with the size 1000 reel, just because that's been my experience with many other models out there. But I would say props to Phenix, because they really focused on a true balance here, and I would say that this thing balances incredible. I'm telling you, if there's one thing you take away from this, it's that I'm really, really pleased with the balance on this rod, and that's so huge when it comes to ultralight fishing. I feel like balance just makes a big difference with fatigue on the water, and it makes a big difference with just comfort on the water and just kind of comfort in fishing your gear. If you use something that doesn't balance well, you will definitely notice it while you're fishing. There's one. What's this? Is this crappie? All right. Yet another species, my friends. We're up to 5 species. That's what's up right there. He was right on the edge of the weed line right there, probably in about 6-7 foot of water. Not a very big crappie, but usually where there's one, there ought to be 2. So hopefully we can catch another. There's one. Oh man, let's see if I can keep him pinned. That long rod should hopefully help me a little bit there. And there you go. Like I said, crappie tend to group up, so it doesn't necessarily surprise me that we caught another. All right, cool. Same size as the last one, just a little dink. But a crappie is a crappie. See ya, bud. Man, we've caught a lot of fish for a short amount of time. And again, those clouds are making me a little suspicious. I highly doubt if this is gonna be a very long fishing trip. That's okay. If I can catch a few fish today, that's a bonus, because I wasn't necessarily planning on catching any at all. So I just looked on the Phenix website to verify a couple things. Number one, this rod is $209 for this specific model. The other thing is, I looked at their warranty policy, and it seems like a pretty solid warranty policy. It's a lifetime warranty as long as it's a manufacturer defect. So if your rod breaks and it's clearly a defect of the rod, they're going to help you out and get it replaced. That being said, you do have to mail it in, which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, I totally understand why companies do that. All in all though, I would say Phenix makes a really high quality rod, and they back it with a warranty, so it's pretty low risk if you're gonna spend that money. I've heard really, really good things too. I feel like word of mouth is a huge deal for me. If people that I know trust the rods, then I usually trust them. And I would say I've never really heard bad things about Phenix. I always hear wonderful reviews. So I would say it's living up to its name so far. I'm really, really liking this rod, and I'm super, super glad that I went for a longer rod, because I've been wanting to fish with more longer rods. I do like longer rods. I just haven't been pleased with the ones that I've used before. This one, on the other hand, I'm quite pleased with. Based on the clouds that I'm seeing, I'm anticipating a pretty short fishing trip, so I'm gonna go ahead and change. Despite the fact that this is working extremely well, I think it's worth testing something else out. People keep telling me to try these spin shot hooks, so I'm gonna go ahead and rig one of these things up, and I'm gonna do a little drop shot with it. Okay, we've got a little Dakota Sunrise horsefly rigged up on that drop shot, about an 8-inch leader. That's what I like for ultralight drop shots. I'm definitely getting some bites. I've had a couple little short strikes. I'm thinking they must be just small gills though, and I'm feeling them in my rod tip. So, you know, the drop shot's gonna be a good opportunity to kind of figure out some sensitivity. I just don't know if they're gonna be on a drop shot bite today or not. There he is. I could feel that fish come up and mouth it a few times. Just a little dinky bass. But again, that drop shot's a great way to kind of test the sensitivity. So I feel like, oh, he popped free right when I was trying to land him. Either way, the drop shot's definitely a great way to test the sensitivity, because I feel like on those bottom oriented techniques, you have to distinct between the bottom and a bite. And in that case, I could feel that fish come up and nose it a few times before finally getting it. And I set the hook when I knew he had it. So definitely felt like I had a good little sensitive bite there. I'm getting some short strikes, but I think they're just pesky little bluegill pulling on the legs. The fact that I can feel them so well is promising, but I just cannot seem to get fish that are actually interested in eating this thing all the way. I think most of the aggressive fish are just too high in the water column, and the drop shot just drops right by them too quick. Right there, I actually just had oh, there's one, there we go. I had a short strike before I got this fish to eat it. This has got to be a bass, I imagine. All right. As you've seen a couple times, that rod has a nice bend to it. It's just a lot of fun. Oh, it's a nice bluegill. Wow. You know, he put up a really good fight for the size he is. And put a nice little flex in that rod, I'll tell you. You know, the flex of this rod is one thing that really is impressive, and I've been meaning to talk about it, but I've kind of keep forgetting. So I'm gonna talk about that right after I unhook this fish. There you go. Nice little male bluegill. See you later, buddy. So the flex of this rod is something that I was super stoked about. The second I opened it from the box, and I didn't even fish it yet, I immediately just kind of tested the flex of it and how it felt. And what I mean is at a 7'6" length, it maintains a fast action, and it's just not too wobbly at the top. So when I kind of shake my rod, it's a little whippy, but not bad for an ultralight. And the fact that Phenix is able to maintain a true fast action in a 7'6" blank is really impressive, because I can tell you, after trying tons of different rods, that is one of the things that a lot of times the ultralights struggle with. The other thing that it really helps with is, you know, something like a drop shot or any other technique for that matter, it helps with some sensitivity and bite detection. If your rod is too whippy and soft and kind of just noodly feeling, it's very hard sometimes to detect those bites. And this rod right here, I've been impressed with so far. Unfortunately, the drop shot's not working super hot today, but on a day where the drop shot's the way to go, I have a feeling this rod's really gonna put me in a spot to where I can succeed, and I'm gonna be able to catch a lot of fish that bite. There was a nice little bite, but that was a little bluegill that just pulled on the bait and let go. Seems like there's several dinky bluegill that are willing to bite, but they're not necessarily willing to commit. There's one right there. Oh, see. Unfortunately, it was just another small fish just kind of pulling on the legs. I am gonna go ahead and switch. I like the drop shot, and you can definitely count on me to fish the drop shot on this rod more in the future, because I do think this is gonna be a stellar micro drop shot rod. But it's just not the right bait today, so I might as well finish out my day with something a little bit more productive. There you go, little micro double jig rig. I've got a 1/64th ounce mule jig on both the top and bottom. One's chartreuse, one's pink, and then a karma colored mule minnow 1.2. There's one. That didn't take very long. I knew this little rig would catch me some bluegill. It's gotta be what that is. It's gotta be a decent little gill. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's a nice gill. Ooh, 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 ooh. Might be my most respectable fish of the day right there. It's a nice big one right there. Went for the top jig. That's probably about a 7.5, 8-inch bluegill, but it's really, really fat. Oh my gosh. Whoa, look at this one. Whoa, look at the colors on this one. Super, super dark and very blue. It's just wild how much they can vary in color. Not a very big fish, but wow, look at those colors. Okay, see ya, okay. Oh yeah, nice fish, I think. Sure feels like a nice fish. You can see that rod's bending pretty good, so it can't be a tiny one. Oh yeah, it's a good gill. Respectable gill. There was actually a pretty decent bass chasing him, believe it or not. It's a nice big male. Look at that fish. And that one ate the bottom jig. Doesn't seem like they have a huge color preference between the pink and the chartreuse. There he is. He popped that thing like 2 or 3 times before finally getting it. Oh my gosh, I got a double! I got a double! I got a double! 2 perch, 1 cast. Yes, sir. That's actually the first time I've finally done that on the double jig rig. It has taken me so much time to finally accomplish it. That is something I am very proud of, and I gotta grab a photo. Even though the top perch is absolutely dinky, the bottom one's pretty small too. It feels good to catch 2 on 1 cast. That's epic. I've had bites from 2 fish before, but I've never actually landed successfully 2 fish on the same cast. So that is pretty freaking epic. See you, bud. Cool. Oh my gosh. I think I might have just had two at once again, but the other one popped free. I swear that was what happened because I had so much resistance for a split second. I think what's kind of cool about today is the fact that, you know, I was hoping to catch a bunch of fish on the drop shot, and I thought I'd catch a few bonus fish on the jig. But what I've kind of realized through just coming out here and trying different things is that this rod is definitely more versatile than I was originally giving it credit for. I was thinking this was mostly gonna be like a drop shot, you know, a slip float, you know, spoons, and maybe some deeper jig applications. But I think what I'm realizing is that it does really well with shallow jig applications just fine too. And at first I was thinking, you know, it's just not gonna thrive with these lighter jigs, but it's doing totally fine. And I just literally caught the dinkiest little crappie. And if that is not a testament to the sensitivity of this rod, then I don't know what is, because that is an absolute micro. See ya, bud. There we go. Whoa. Well, I just launched another micro. Yeah, for whatever reason, there's just micro crappie right here. I'm gonna go ahead and move locations. I don't need to keep catching those fish. That's as much fun as they are. I don't need to be launching little 2-inch crappie out of the water. All in all though, like I said, this rod is definitely a little bit more versatile than I was originally expecting. A 7'6" rod, in my head, I'm thinking, you know, 7'6" I'm gonna use for certain applications, but I think what I'm learning is that I will be happy to use this for just about anything, and I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm gonna fish for a few more minutes, so hopefully I can catch some more fish before I head home, but I figured I'd go ahead and wrap up my thoughts on the PHENIX ELIXIR. You can definitely stay tuned for more videos featuring this rod. I really, really like it. I wasn't out here for very long. I caught a lot of fish on it, and I definitely realized that it's a pretty versatile stick. That being said, I definitely think I'm going to be fishing a lot of deeper water applications with this, probably a lot of slip float rigs, a lot of drop shot rigs, probably pendulum, a lot of deeper jigs for crappie when I find suspended crappie, that sort of thing. All in all, I really, really like this rod. I think PHENIX has an incredible reputation, and then the lifetime warranty that you get with it. I think for $210, I think it's a pretty solid piece of equipment. They definitely are using high quality components. It's very easy to tell. It's sensitive. It maintains a true fast action, and that's not easy to do with an ultralight, and I truly feel this is an ultralight. When you hook into a decent fish, man, this rod doubles over. I'm a huge fan, and you can count on me to fish with this more in future videos because this is one of my favorite sticks. Anyways, let's get back to fishing, see what we can catch. There's fish. Gotta be a gill, I'd imagine. Well, what is this? Oh yeah, decent little gill. Nothing too crazy. Come and get it. There you are. Yes, sir. Is that a perch? Man, I caught a lot more perch today than I was expecting. They're not exactly big, but any perch during the summer is a bonus for me, as I just don't catch very many of these fish during the summer.